Since Project PB is still in the waiting, the more relaxed atmosphere of normal PBE games has allowed top players to experiment with the highest possible caps in the new set. As such, multiple variants how you can cap out your board with the highest tier units have been discovered. So quickly running through, we are playing around the Taric, Iron, Cannon and the Mumu core. Then from this bucket, we generally are going to be selecting one unit. Maokai nicely ties together with the Mumu, however he does need that time scaling and Taric is simply a better tank. Therefore, if you have a 2-star Taric, having this Maokai is not as worthwhile, you can slot him on level 10 if you want. Lux, particularly the Primal Lux, can give you that extra team-wide buff and is a nice carry on her own. However, if you do not have Shred or Sunder, you can utilize Kog'Maw similar to Aatrox in the last set, just be wary that he does only hit a couple of targets. For that reason, in these indicated itemizations, I have also not listed Void Staffs or Last Whispers. Just use your head. Know that if you do not have Kog'Maw, you want to make that Void Staff and Last Whisper. Then, generally the highest cap due to the power level of Elder Dragon is going to be pairing Elder with Sentinel. And then your board would be these 4 units plus Elder and Sentinel and one from this bucket. Other variants that you can be looking for, the little bit cheaper ones would be Ezreal and Gnar pairing, nicely playing from that Elderwood opener, which you can tempo with greatly. Also, can be going full AP with Soraka and a Loon, also a variant that you can be looking to pivot into from that Elderwood opener. Or you can go full AD. Draven is a little bit underpowered right now, and you can ideally slot in that Lux and Maokai or Kog'Maw. All variants work out quite well. Just be wary of what you hit, what your spot looks like, and remember, these boards are going to be extremely expensive, therefore you definitely want some form of an econ engine. I will provide this as a screenshot in the description down below, and now let's take a look at one of these variants. For our board review, we are going to be jumping in game with one of the household favorites, Mr. Wasian Iverson, who along this top have been one of the top, at least on-stream grinders of the PB release, starting out immediately with a Cassiopeia, and have that Chameleon shop playing around the Coven is definitely an option you can consider, and since it's not a full lost streak trait anymore, you can definitely be looking to maybe a little bit of a tempo in the earlier parts of the game, and then try to cap out around a big cash out a little bit later on. And Camille in itself is a very strong early game unit. You also might have noticed that he is trying to adapt his playstyle to be able to utilize this shop by hotkeys. Also have Rengar and Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix particularly strong with that Blackthorn emblem. If you're able to get him and get to that 6 Blackthorn, then in that case you just gain, what, it's 80% damage amp and 8 mana gen or something crazy like that for your Kha'Zix and Azir, and it's just absolutely bonkers. Otherwise, our Slam is an IE, an item that generally synergizes better with other items. Not particularly happy about that as a fully, just as a tempo Slam, and we do not really have that frontline presence. We have some of these defenders that we could be pairing with this Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks, well, he can hold down his fort actually, so we would need time for this Cassiopeia to ramp up, but do not have any mana items, so it does not look like the strongest opener, definitely in my eyes at least. And for our Augment selection coming up right now on the silver tier, created crafting generally better if you have extra components. We do not have that. Latent Forge still should be a generically decent, but we need to figure out some of the broken artifact interactions, and then it's still a little bit hard to play in, but I believe the best option offered from these three, as Electro Charge would require some frontline presence, taking combat onto one you either are going to be lost streaking, looking for a huge stage 3 spike, or trying to tempo around it immediately, and we would have to fall into the former category, and I'm not exactly sure if we are able to string that together. And we are also playing in a gold sub, so a little bit of an extra econ is going to be taken care of by the encounter. Therefore, something like an Expedition becomes even more appealing. Still, in my opinion, one of the strongest augments in game right now. And since only one player, at least should be, don't know about PB bugs, offer this augment, it can provide immense caps, and if you're able to play into some kind of a line that might be playable from Lost Streak, or if you're able to stabilize around it and we can double dip with this Coven as well, it can be extremely strong. Iron assets, if you can make an extra slam, this is a good augment, just about mid baseline. Still a bit weaker of and Forge, future focused. This is more like a risky moves in a sense, but I haven't seen this augment clicked yet, so it's hard for me to make a judgment on it right away. Going to be buying the Charm to immediately level. If we this could set our econ a little bit on the weaker side, as we definitely want to be sacrificing these units. But since it's a gold opener and a gold sub, this is still quite appealing. We could be just looking to sacrifice some of these recos. Going to be going with that IE Slam since we picked up that upgraded Camille. She is a very strong early game unit to be playing around. Looking for some kind of reroll variations, maybe her with an Akali. Thinking with Akali, you need Inferno in some kind of way, so it's going to be interesting to see. Still able to make 10 gold, which is absolutely amazing in this kind of a spot. And pick up a win right there. So if we are able to a little bit of a win streak, then maybe slot in that Coven, as it does not really need a full loss streak like Anima last set, then even get more resources out of it. We are definitely going to be rebounding the econ lost from this expedition and go for an immeasurable spike. And with an IE translating, I mean, Ezreal is his executioner, but he can still utilize that IE. I'm thinking, I mean, Elder Dragon obviously can utilize that IE. What other AD units we might have? I'm having a little bit of a hard time off the top of my head to be mentioning them. Nonetheless, we're picking up another charm, so we are still just maximizing this value that we have gained from this extra econ into this early game to be trying to generate as many resources and scale our game and push our win streak from this. And also the econ charms, in some way, if you high roll them, can also be incredibly powerful when playing around something like an expedition. And we have been very fortunate so far in queuing into some of these little bit of a weaker boards that the Camille is able to rip apart. Well, the Vanguard is a little bit stalling, but the Xayah in the backline is not going to be able to do too much. Also, player playing around team building, so does not have any immediate power right now. So now we have to see, since we are on this win streak, we would generally want to be leaning towards something that can potentially spike our board right away. Obviously do not have a free component, but taking up a pair of this Cassiopeia gives us the potential for the high roll. Belt is generally flexible item. 3 gold at least is also going to be 3 gold in the worst case. Going to be pushing levels here, something that is very different from your standard expedition approach, but we are on a win streak. We have a strong board right here. We have this Fiddle that is able to be able to hold down the fort for us. He keeps surprising me of how actually well of a tank he sometimes can be. Also saw a game from Dishop where he went for a Fiddle 3 and that guy was a little bit of a beast with a drain tank option. So maybe I've been sleeping a little bit on this guy. Do not even need to slam the belt. See that we have a clear fight. And then now the shield is definitely going to be appealing. This 150 value shield on the 5 units in this early stage is quite appealing in my opinion. Scouting if we need to be buying this, but we should making a decision right now. Now it seems that this player is going to be right there. We did pick up the charm in last second, queue into another Coven player, so that's a free win and a 5 win with an expedition. This game is set up for great success in my opinion. Very well executed early game, playing around the strongest board, identifying that the lobby is a little bit weaker, utilizing this extra gold incoming from all the possible ways, and also cashing out that Econ charm that we picked up for winning the fight. 40 gold, level 50, level 5, 5 streak, expedition, and we are able to sacrifice 3 costs to bounce back, have Cassiopeia and Fiddle pair as well. This is a great spot for us to absolutely be in, and I will see how he's able to get there. Blood and Iron is also a little bit of appealing in this kind of a spot. Should be able to cash it out by the end of the stage in the worst case in my opinion, and I think it also should count out opposite champion death, so actually should be able to get it a little bit faster. Going to be going for the BT and Morello slam, nicely tying our itemization right there together into this Blossom player. The Camille is able to make it to the backline, is going to be able to maybe clear up this fight. The Cassiopeia does not have the mana item, so it takes some time to ramp, and now our streak is unfortunately going to be broken. Still a close fight. We even went for that aggressive level 6, so maybe we'll see how it compares. Wisp Rebate is something that is incredibly strong, particularly in these Blossom lines, where you are going to be wanting to be fishing sometimes, but even more aggressively for these Wisps, and having a little bit of payback right there is going to be strong. But since we're playing it out expedition and our streak just got broken, definitely champ delivery is going to be quite strong. It gives us the 3 cost we can immediately sacrifice, as well as just econ augment when playing around expedition is strong. Boxing lessons, maybe in your many frontline lines, like something like Elderwood, and playing around some more into verticals of one of these tank traits could be decent. Yeah, as long as they're not brawlers, because you do not want overlapping stats too much. Band of Thieves would be great if you wanted to still push tempo. I did not see the last augment, but nonetheless, this champ delivery is just going to be a great spot for ourselves. We're able to make a Tristana too, which allows us to immediately sacrifice 9 gold, so we're also in a great place to be catching out this expedition, and we have it at least there, so, but we're still looks like we're looking to be looking for a possibility of pushing tempo rather than trying to slot in the Coven for maybe a little bit of extra resources. In reality, this Camille is just such a strong unit that she can definitely try to clear up the fights, but unfortunately we're going to be taking another loss against a player who has picked up a Zyra on their side. We have this orb that we did not, we cashed out our components. You can see it was only a couple of rounds because of the enemy units counting as kills as well. Any form of extra items would play are always nice in pretty much most of these lines, especially if you're going for high caps. We have the fiddle too also there that we do not unfortunately have the items for, so could be potentially looking to utilize this anvil, and we still now in the anvil trick is in full effect. We can just be popping this anvil right before the carousel and then make a little bit more informed decision, allowing us to go for the slam. Let's see if he's counting if he wants to make 40, but we should definitely be popping this anvil right now in my opinion, and then seeing what the component is available, and if you wanted to push tempo, go for that slam. Nonetheless, he's going to be holding on to it just for now. Seems that we might be also gunning for a little bit of higher cost unit. Find a belt again, another flexible component we can be going for, and we're definitely gunning for some of the frontline items right away. Had a Y2 appear for a little bit of a shop. I would be interested to see what happens if you buy that Y as she's going to be get sacrificed. I don't know, but this PB engine, many possible scenarios are possible. Going to be popping the anvil and making the spirit visage right now, just to get some more of frontline presence, buy a little bit more time for this Camille to be able to rack up the kills, and a free win for ourselves is grazing. The recon situation seems to have been rebounded a little bit back. 2 consumables is, I mean, they would not be having that much value for ourselves right away. We're going to be sacrificing this fiddle, really, and how far are we? Also, I wouldn't want to be experimenting what happens if you sacrifice a unit with an item on expedition, given the, if you've played BB, you know there's many bugs. We are going up against a stage 3 Maokai as well. This is one way to actually make your Maokai quite powerful. If you're able to find him on 4-2 roll down with a little bit of an HP lead or high roll on stage 3, then he can definitely be racking up the kills. We're cashing out our Radiant item chest, a little bit of an extra gold. Now our econ situation is about nominal, and we high roll that cannon as well, which is a nice fit in for us and gives us a potential carry to be looking to play around. An amazing holder of that Morello's, and well, with the bow we could be gunning for a Void Staff. If we wanted to have the possibility to make Cassiopeia too, we are about at 60 HP, so I believe that if our plan, well, I'm approaching this game as our plan isn't exactly to be playing for Fast 9. We want to be looking for something that we can stabilize on level 8, right? And now that just simply having that Void Staff is a valuable slam for ourselves. Also, I believe he only came up with the Kog'Maw edition after this game, and we are going to be going for that Radiant Last Whisper. Now, our econ situation is not the strongest. We cannot be going Rise Fast 9 right now, but we have the possibility of playing around Coven and maybe slight sacking our board just to go for a little bit of extra dip. Verticality is a very strong augment in these super stacked vertical comps, obviously, right? In your Elderwoods, in your Blossoms, they can do a lot of value. Clockwork Accelerator, a little bit on the weaker side, just because it requires scaling. And now we have Rapid Fire in set as well, that is generally has already attack speed built into it. Plus, Aphelios gains attack speed from Lunar, Xayah gains attack speed from her active ability. Therefore, just too much attack speed is not great. Staff Smith, though, still a top tier augment, providing you with 2 completed AP items, and we can definitely make use of them right away. Healing orbs better in your melee lines and solo frontliners, not exactly what we are playing for right away, even though we have some melees and could possibly keep that cannon alive, particularly since we do not have that Edge of Night at the moment, I believe. Group Hug, have to figure out what kind of lines. I still would imagine some melee lines where your units can drain tank are going to be great value for it. Fine, well, unfortunately as Spark do not have the Reforger for it, but Jeweled Gauntlet is going to be doing just fine right here. How we're going to be stabilizing ourselves right here, do we believe that this is just going to be enough? We have the Solar Lux, and Solar Lux, I believe, in my opinion, is not just going to do anything for ourselves. I'm not exactly sure how you would even playing around Solar Lux, right? You want to have those 3 stars for the Solar to have some sort of effect, really. Seems a little weird champion to me, but maybe I am sleeping on something. He has mapped out this Fast 9 board right now, so his plan is definitely going to be set for Fast 9. It seems that he's identified that this is the best way to convert his items. We have that cannon right away as well. And he is slotting in the Maokai, but you can see a lot of players are not super hot on to this Maokai. They have also slotted in the Y for a possibility to maybe be playing around some kind of primal, as we have that Sivir as well. And Sivir can allow you to link to the Ashe as well, so you can be playing in that kind of variant, maybe a variant that I did not show at the start. This is also having this Vi, Sivir and Ashe as a possibility to be transitioning later on, maybe into this Draven. Therefore, something to keep an eye out. Many ways how you can approach this this Fast 9 and generally this set is so great. There's so many in like trade web wise. There are so many 3 pieces, 2 pieces you can be splashing around, playing around that are quite strong and allow you to link to these other kind of cap boards. Therefore, we are just going to be. Well, we are in a decent spot now. 38 lives is not the strongest that we're looking for. Going to be slotting in the Coven as well. Maybe we can wrap up a 40 cash. Just even a little bit of an extra resources are going to be worthwhile, because right now we'd be leveling to level 9 with 0 gold. And, you know, these... You should never underestimate how expensive these Fast 9 boards are. From this kind of a spot where we only have a truly like couple of 1-star copies of the units, we are looking at needing like 90, 100 gold to actually be able to hit this board. And that is something that a lot of players miss, especially they crumble under the pressure of having to be leveling, having to execute, because you generally want 2 lives, because stabilizing also takes time and the roll downs are quite tough to be executing. They just go on like 30 gold and then they can't really hit anything unless they high roll a 2-star. If you high roll a 2-star Elder, I suppose you're going to might be stable, but still he needs some time. Now going to be taking a loss here against Blossom player. We are down at pretty close that 1 life threshold, but a couple of players have fallen out already, so at least it's not going to be a bottom finish, that is a guarantee. Taking just this for extra 4 gold, which is completely fine, and now we're going to be around 50 gold, so let's see how much we're able to actually buy with this 50 gold. A lot of turns to execute, plus he's practicing his buying with the hotkeys. Getting about 20 gold here extra, and we also have that gold sub coming in. Blackthorn Lux probably not something that we're going to be looking for, but we still have to manage to swap our board quite a bit. We have picked up that Maokai, as we simply have this option. We skipped the Mumu there, I believe. We also picked a charm that does reroll our shop. So just looking to pick up anything that we can. Still run out of time and need to get this itemization off. This is another thing we cannot forget. We're going into quite a strong player and we are on that 1 life threshold. If we take a loss with at least 4 units, we are dead. So need to be going for these slams quite fast. Thankfully, we're able to pick up the 2-star Tarek. That's going to be holding that. Elder Dragon does have that Radiant Last Whisper, as well as together with the built-in Omnivamp and the going of the Untargetable, we're going to be picking up a win. And yeah, since we are playing around a couple of scaling champions, right, this Ivern also needs time to be scaling, and probably we should be transitioning these items to cannon on him from him if we could. I'm not sure if even the 2-star Ivern is going to be worth the investment right here. Let's see if we can see the damage charts, how he's going to be performing. Because generally you're just building him to spam cast so he can plant his seeds a little bit faster, but his shields can't crit. And, well, 1.8k damage with this build, I probably would want those items on the cannon. That's why you might be just holding on to him 1-star. Just if you have some spare mana items, give them to him. Let him do his casts, but have actual carries otherwise. Still a little bit, you can see, we upgraded some units, but we are generally quite poor. The power level is truly carried by this Radiant Last Whisper and the Elder Dragon being an extremely strong unit. Also, we picked up this interesting charm that they become hero power right there. One of our units, unfortunately, is this Ivern, but seems to be quite strong of a charm to be picking up and empowering your board. There was the bug where you had to unfield all the rest of your units. But now that you can gain actually benefit from the trade, it's going to be quite strong. Going for another mana item, the issue here is that generally we in Fast 9 lines do not want to be double downing on the frontline items if we possibly can. Nonetheless, it's going to be fine. A major polymorph maybe we were gunning for hopefully the 2 and 3 that is transformed Zyra and Ezreal, but unfortunately he transformed our Rift Sentinel into an Ashe, and we do not really have the extra pair of damage items to be playing around this Ashe, but at least this I suppose now we can transition our items to cannon. We picked up a cannon to gain a little bit of extra gold that way. This cannon does get bursted down without Edge of Night though, but this Elder Dragon is just immense in power at 1 star. Even without the Hand of Justice, just having a survivability item from the BT is going to be quite strong. Pairing our Elder Dragon with the Taric, as that is the unit we want to be keeping alive. Could be picking up with a Forger here if we wanted to just simply try to improve our itemization and also get rid of this Spark if we wanted to. Our Taric's items are quite strong, so do not truly need all these extra items onto the Sentinel right here, especially now that he's at 1 star. Also, it seems that the players are clumping on quite a bit, so this Elder Dragon is able to splash and make a lot of use of his simply active ability, dishing out immense amounts of damage. And yeah, we're going to, you can see that the reason why he's alpha marking also the Sentinel is just because this team absolutely loves the extra mana. The 12% execute, it's nice on paper, but it's not truly needed for this life. However, this Sentinel is not generally going to be casting more than a couple of times, so you have to be making some adjustments. And you can see he is upgrading that Maokai. Probably Maokai isn't that many stacks, and again, as I mentioned, this game happened just before he came up with the idea that you could be playing around Kog'Maw. But still having a little bit more frontline presence is completely fine, though he's going to be keeping these items onto the Sentinel, especially since we have paired in an Invoker just to get a little bit more costs out of him and securing ourselves a top 3. Seems that we are simply going to be playing the line that has the possibility to cap the highest. Finally find that Elder Dragon 2 and going to be going for a Reforge. Well, I suppose another Morello, even though we're running another Sunfire is going to be fine since we're running Inferno. At least the burn stack, so that's a nice heads up play from them. Going up against this Executioner board, again, their frontline is quite clumsy, so this Elder Dragon is making easy work of them paired together with the cannon. There's lots of AoE potential into this line. And that is like, this is going to be the case of another set where we have a unit that takes up 2 team slots, and so you have to question how do you balance him. Particularly, he's also the cornerstone of the highest cap of a particular line. So we will have to see how they approach balancing this Elder Dragon. You want him to have a lot of power, but you can see that even the 3 Biff base being a possibility to drop down here, he's immense power, and the splash cone is very large as well, and pairing together with these cannon, with these other units that can have the backline access, it's a little bit too high in my opinion at the moment. Picking up another mana item for our I would assume Ivern, or so going for a Sentinel, just going for this maximum mana cast, trying to maybe really play for this extra mana item that he can gain, grant our team. And also this line is compared to last set, it has a lot of frontline power. Now, this is going to be our last fight. Unfortunately, we did not really roll for a charm, but let's see. We simply have such a higher cap. They're still on Lux 1. They are on the opposite side, but does not have the mana gen. The Elder Dragon is cleaning up the frontline power and is just going to be taking a very convincing win from ourselves. Almost cleanly approached the game by Wasian Averson right here, capitalizing on that extra econ start as well as the gold sub, and anything that we can be playing for a niche tempo spot with the expedition to reach the highest possible cap, obviously seeking for that econ augment on 3-2 while trying to maintain as much tempo as possible, which then allowed us to stabilize a little bit on stage 4 and push for that level 9, where we are able to cap around this extremely high cap board, which is immensely expensive. You could see how we still needed a lot of gold and a lot of turns to transition the board. Thankfully, we're able to pick up that crucial win on 5-1. From there, all these extra items that we had picked up along the way allowed us to truly build an incredibly strong board, particularly around this Elder Dragon with that Radiant Last Whisper, who is just an absolute beast. Still obviously had some possibilities of where we could be optimizing. However, this is PB, all of us are still learning, even the best players. Therefore, analyzing these WODs and trying to think critically of their decisions by first assuming what they were trying to achieve with this, and then trying to analyze, was this the best possible scenario, or were they just simply trying to try out something new, allows us to further deepen our understanding of the new set and be ready for that launch. As usual, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.